Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is a post-mortem show. It's kind of an interesting thing what comes into your mind to talk about after something like this. Many years ago, there was a program on the A&E network called Intervention, and it was about people who were drug addicts and how they attempted to rehabilitate people and save their lives. Sometimes they succeeded, sometimes they didn't. But the intervention was the thing that got them to try to turn their lives around. Uh, the one thing that you walked away with when when you watch that program is that nobody is willing to get well until they're willing to get well. In the case of the intervention show, it was real simple stuff. It was like you got to hit rock bottom first. And rock bottom could be many different things for many different people. And if you were high on heroin, maybe you found yourself, having done heroin and being fucked in the butt by six guys. Who in the hell knows? But the bottom line was that rock bottom was the only way that person would submit themselves to the intervention and give them a chance to get well. This is rock bottom. What you saw today was rock bottom. And had they done what I suggested and let Stefanski go, there would have been a reason for these men to play. They don't want to play for him anymore. They don't want to play with him anymore. They don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. They don't want to have any memories of him anymore. He did not prepare the football team to play, and it's impossible to prepare if your team isn't listening to you. They've listened to him year after year after year, and it's gotten them nowhere at all. And by continuing to bring him back, you might as well just let the whole roster go. Because if he's back for another year, then I would urge every player to give up, just like they would do on intervention and kill themselves. I would get out of the sport before I would play for this clown. But of course, they have bills to pay and a lifestyle to live. But I would definitely make it known to management that I don't want to stay there. And the truth of the matter is that Deion Sanders was right. He didn't want his son to go into a situation like this, and you can see why. Somebody look it up because I haven't been stat hunting. How many passes did Shador throw? I mean, it's absolutely sick. They couldn't run the ball. There was no effort by the offensive line. Nothing. Hello, Mr. Be Safe. How are you? And it's the same stuff that I've been complaining about. Some of you have been complaining about it. You throw two perfect dimes to Bond and he catches them. You throw a perfect touchdown to Judy and he drops it because he can't catch the ball with his hands. He gambles against the team. He can't use his hands. He traps the ball. He can't catch. And when he's wide open, he stops running and lets somebody strip him from behind. But you keep playing him. There is no way in God's creation that he should even be on the field playing. For a respectable coach, and an organization would have just given him his walking papers. Until he dropped that pass, I mean, they didn't even throw the ball to him. He's never a factor, except in a negative kind of way. So, shoulda, woulda, coulda. The bottom line is that they come out in the first quarter of the game with 12 men in the huddle. And Stefanski's. I wish somebody would just hit him in the nuts, with a mallet, Remember we used to play, what was the name of that game where you'd knock the ball through the hoops? That's an old school British game. I forget the name of it now. Take that mallet and drive his testicles right into his abdomen. That's how you start out the game. And then a bunch of penalties. Every week, it's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't, for the life of me, understand. I mean, if you know that COVID is in a person's house, you do not visit that person in that house. Just it doesn't take a whole lot of intelligence. If you see that things are going to hell the way they are, you don't let that coach back in the stadium. You get them away from the players. You show the players that you're serious about getting better. But they're not. The ownership's not serious. Jimmy's paying attention to what he's doing with the city of Cleveland. Now Mayor Bibb is his friend, and they're trying to get Burke Lakefront Airport closed, and so they can both profit. And Bibb can say, see, that promise I made, and it came true. They're all a bunch of fucking prostitutes. Look at the city, Mayor Bibb. The city mayor is shit. It is shit now. The core of the city is shit. I'm embarrassed. I won't even go to Cleveland. I will not go into that area. It isn't safe. It's disgusting. It's urban blight. But, you want to go ahead and get that tax money in. Who knows how you're dipping your wick into that. And Haslam, he should be worried about his fucking team. He's worried about shutting down an airport so he can get his hands on that land around the former airport and be able to develop it so we can make more money. That's all it is. Nobody cares. I do a program. I have to watch these games so I can at least speak intelligently. Of course, they say Mary Kay Cabot watches the games, but she doesn't speak intelligently. This is what I do. But there are people who are tweeting me and saying, "Oh, no, I'm never going to watch again. I'm never going to watch." Why are you watching now then? Lay down, relax, take it easy. Make it easy on yourself. You don't have to. My God, that's like standing there saying, "God almighty, I keep hitting myself in the testicles and it really hurts. God, I really think maybe I should stop doing this." All right. Nothing left to watch. Nothing left to watch at all. They didn't come out ready to play. They haven't been coming out ready to play, but it's been getting worse every week. And that's the thing. If he comes out and says, "We got to be better," let's Charlie Kirk him, shall we? I don't want to hear that shit. He's not up to the job. He's not good enough. He does not have an answer. If you don't have an answer, you shouldn't be the one trying to answer the question, right? There's no reason why he should still be with the team. It is a dark joke. But it would be expedient. He wouldn't have time to say, "We need to be better," even one more time. That would be the last time he'd ever say it. And we'd all be happy. We'd be living in our happy place. I am a sick person. Absolutely. I'm an absolute sicko. Absolutely. Do not invite me over to your house. Do not. Don't worry. I've been doing this for 24 years and I haven't really done anything. Well, nah, I haven't. I can't say I had anything to do with Hugh Jackson's firing, except I was very adamant that they should have done it long before they did it. And this is what it is. We're stuck. We're stuck with a coach who doesn't know what he's doing, who can't motivate the players. I mean, when you hit the field and the first thing that you do is you get downed on the 1 yard line and you challenge a play that there's no way you're going to get that call. I mean, what are you trying to wish it away by magic? That's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way that's going to happen. But sure enough, the challenge flag flies. And of course, it was a waste. And in so doing, you would think that while they were reviewing the play for all of 10 seconds, that you'd have time to talk to your offensive unit, your quarterback, and get things squared away. Nah, a bunch of penalties followed thereafter because they're not listening. They're not listening to the guy. They don't want to play for him. I wouldn't want to play for him. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. It is. It was the most disgusting performance because you knew immediately, oh, we're going to get blown the hell out of here. We're not, you got to be ready to play. You're playing a 9-4 now, 10-4 team. And, they got to win. They're in the fight. They're in an important place right now. You just come in. You're just not ready to play. I don't know. If they keep Kevin Stefanski, then it's just give up. I think the fans should give up at that point because there's just no answer from this guy. And you're going to ruin Shedeur, who should be the quarterback next season. I think that he has the ability, if he had time to throw the football, and if he had an offensive line that either could protect him and get holes for the running backs, if the defense didn't know what he had to do before he did it, he'd be very good. I'm not going to tell you that. I would say the same thing about Baker Mayfield, by the way. He could be very good. I'm not going to tell you that he's world class, but I'm not going to tell you that any of these guys like Mendoza are going to be world class coming into the league. Mendoza has never seen anything. I mean, he's sitting there going, thrust my chest out. I beat Ohio State. Hey, look at me. I'm Sandra D. He hasn't seen shit. He hasn't been in the NFL. It's a different ball game, man. A lot of times the guys who succeed are not the ones who are expected to succeed. And Caleb Williams looked great. He looked great today. But the Browns didn't come to play defense. There was no inspiration and no perspiration. And not because of the frigid temperatures. There was just no effort. No effort made. Well, we don't have to have 3 more games like this. We could do it without Stefanski. And that's the best way of telling the players, if we're going to get rid of the coach with 3 games left of the season, you're next. None of you are safe. Get out there and play hard. And if you don't, you're going to be gone. And then I would not only fire the coach, I would take, oh my God. I can't even remember his name, number 26, Miles Harden. I would take him and sacrifice him to the gods. I would just wave him. I don't know what he does out there. I have no idea. If you gave him a Christmas gift, he'd drop it. If he had a job that he had to tackle, he couldn't tackle it. He doesn't line up in the right place. He doesn't cover the right man. He breaks late on plays. Why is he out there? You got to sacrifice people to be taken seriously. I know it sounds cruel, but these guys haven't played it well enough, a lot of them, to keep a job. Stefanski should be gone after this game, and I keep saying this week after week, and the players who are just asleep, Jerry Jeudy, should be gone. He's a disruptor on the sidelines, for one thing, and he can't catch balls. He drops more passes than any other wide receiver in the league, and that's a fact. This part of it, if we had Jerome Ford as our primary running back, I'd say no running game. We have no offensive line. We have, and I didn't even know Dylan Sampson was hurt. Somebody in the chat room maybe tell me what happened to Dylan Sampson. I'm not sure. Did Delilah cut off his locks? We have a running game. We have no offensive line. They have nowhere to go. Judkins gets the ball and he's waiting to make that first burst. And there's no hole and he gets dragged down every single time. And why? Because we stayed with the same old guys who get injured year after year, and we didn't groom young players. We instead continued to play the old guys, put up with the injuries. We end up bringing these guys up from the practice squad. They're not NFL ready, and they're getting whipped. And that, again, is management, and that, again, is coaching. Do you think Bill Callahan would let these people get away with this laziness? So let me make this really clear. I didn't even know he had a cow. I think I like that guy, Dylan Sams. Oh, not that kind of calf. I'm sorry. When did that happen? Did it happen in the game? I didn't even see that happen. And it does go together, but the thing is that you might get lucky and find somebody on another team's squad, practice squad, or a player that got given up on, and maybe he starts figuring it out. They say that offensive linemen traditionally are like, I guess they're like starting pitchers or power hitters. They blossom around 27 years of age, which gives them 2 years in the league before they're finished. But it's very hard to find a guy who's 21 years old who is like a beast out of the box. It's not easy to do. So you have to have a little luck. You got to be able to find somebody who maybe didn't pan out for the previous team that they played for, but they were drafted fairly high. But maybe the scheme they were in just played to that guy's weaknesses. And if you see guys who would play to the strength that you were creating, not Kevin Stefanski's offense, but a new offense, then maybe you'd have something. So that happened last week in the red zone. What's the red zone? Isn't that a deodorant? I don't know what that term means. I'm a Browns fan. So, without an offensive line, they all look like Jerome Ford, don't they? Hold on a minute. My beautiful wife has asked me a question.
Sorry, did he walk?
Yes, I took him out. Say hi, Rox.
Hey.
Oh, God. So, we know that it's a business, but it would be a better business if they were actually out there to win. The fact that this sport and the other sport, baseball and all that, have gone to the people who are just the well-moneyed people. We understand and talk about that all the time on the program. I guess I would have a problem if I went to McDonald's. If everybody went to McDonald's and they got themselves a double quarter pounder with cheese and they opened the bun and there were 2 shit patties, human feces in the middle of the bun, you would think that the word would get around and people would stop going there. So I have no real sympathy for people who are just watching this to watch it because it's no good, and then they get really, really emotionally unhappy about it. I don't understand that. Don't buy season tickets. Don't go. Don't give the money to the guy. He's going to make the money anyway. He's got no incentive from your money. He has no incentive to win or lose or anything. He's going to make the money regardless. So, I have been doing this for 24 years, and I can only tell you from the perspective of somebody who wasn't used to losing in business that, losing is not something that I like to watch. And if I made a few mistakes during the course of my career, I righted them. It's like, oh, this is what I did wrong. And you start figuring it out, but there's no figuring going on here. There's no thought process whatsoever. And let's see what else. 2 wide receivers and some linemen. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. And it's true. The quarterback thing is such a non sequitur at this point when you don't have a team. And I don't understand why the talk in the media and the idiots there, on cleveland.com, why these people insist on talking about quarterback, draft a quarterback. I mean, there's a reason why there are as many men on the field at a time as there are. The quarterback's just one guy, and without an offensive line and a running game, it doesn't matter even how good his wide receivers are. And don't take my word for it. Take Joe Burrow's word for it. He's quit. He's totally quit. If you didn't see his press conference from earlier in the week, you have to watch it. He's a depressed man. They never got an offensive line. And that's the Brown family right there in Cincinnati. That's what they do. They just wear people out. And that young, swaggering white guy who tried to dress like a white pimp, now he's got no confidence left. None. And he has Chase and he has Higgins, unless Chase spits in people's faces or Higgins is injured. But he has Iovicius. He has guys he can throw to. And he's been playing in the same scheme. I mean, Burrow is trying to get the coach fired. He's trying to get Zach Taylor fired, for God's sakes. Well, if I'm not happy, I don't know why I'm doing this. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. And that's what's happening in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is desperately trying to show the Brown family, look, this is the way to the water. Drink the water. Get rid of this guy. The scheme is terrible. Doesn't matter. Cincinnati may be the only team that doesn't have a good running game, and they wasted the prime of a very promising young quarterback by never patching up their offensive line problem. So I'm going to turn to the Browns and turn to the ignorant Southerner, Jimmy Haslam, and say, you don't have to be a genius or a physicist. You can even be a shit-eating hick, and you can figure out by looking at the Cincinnati model what doesn't work. You have a promising young quarterback here in Shedeur Sanders. I'm not going to tell you that he's going to take you all the way, but I was never convinced that Joe Burrow could either. But he got hurt. And now you're seeing the same thing. I know the Ravens won, but look who they beat, a guy who's clinically depressed now. Lamar Jackson isn't the same quarterback because he's getting hurt all the time and missing practices. He's not the same guy. To win a Super Bowl, you got to be lucky, you got to be healthy, but you got to be really good. You got to have weapons. You got to have multiple people who can beat the other team. Running backs who can get the short yardage when necessary or catch the ball out of the backfield and gain those extra yards. Guys who can go deep. Guys who can physically fight for the ball. And you got to have a quarterback who puts it in a place where they can grab it. Nobody else can. It is not an easy thing. But I don't think any of the fans who are in this chat room or any of the hundreds of people who have started watching this program in the last 4 or 5 weeks, there's a large number of people now starting to listen to this program. And the reason why is I think that these fans, if the Browns just had winning records, would be satisfied that the team was going in the right direction and that maybe something could happen if we got lucky here or there. Let's say if we were playing the Broncos and Carlos kicked a field goal that was clearly no good and they called it no good. We're waiting for that one thing. We're waiting for, Myles Garrett has broken the sack. No, it was only half a sack. Cleveland, There you go. I hate you, Cleveland. They're the anti-Bruce Drennan. I hate you. The fans would be happy, though, just to say, there's a better chance we're going to win this week than lose. Why do you think the Cardiac Kids were the most amazing Browns team? They didn't win the Super Bowl, but they came back from behind. That was the point. They just snared victory from the jaws of defeat over and over again. So you believed in them. And you knew in your heart they weren't the best team. You knew that. And you knew the league wasn't rooting for them. And then you'd look up in the owner's box and you saw Art Modell. And so you said to yourself, now that's probably not going to happen. But God, it sure is hell a fun ride, isn't it? It's great watching this. Brian Sipe taking him down the field, throwing the ball to Reggie Rucker and to Dave Logan and Ozzie Newsome. Guys making catches in traffic, playing above their abilities. And Sam Ratigliano in charge of the whole thing, firing these guys up, and they believed in themselves. And because of that, the fans started believing in them. That's why Red Right 88 is like saying the wrong thing in Cleveland. Oh, it's so painful. It's painful. Because that was a play in freezing cold weather that got away. It happens. If you're always coming back from behind, it's kind of hard to do it over and over and over and over, unless you're Ron Jeremy. All right. So, hey, it's El Presidente. Da, 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 da. Long time no hear from. How you doing, buddy? But I think y'all understand what I'm saying. It's like, I don't believe any of these fans. Some of them want to just bitch. They want to revel in their misery. I think if there was a good product to watch every week and we had a better than 50% chance of winning any game we played virtually, a lot more people would be involved. A lot more people would give their hearts to the team and the organization. Don't make fun of Carrot Top. He's not funny. It's a shame that he chose comedy for a living because he's not good at it. The thing is, if you're like a car salesman and you're not good at it, you don't do it in front of thousands of people or on television. Carrot Top humiliated himself in front of thousands of people. He wasn't good at it. And Jerry Jeudy is not a good receiver. God. That's exactly right, Tom. It's getting away from us, isn't it? I start looking for other things, in life, because it's like a Browns Super Bowl. And I saw a Cavs championship. I'm good. I'm happy. I am fulfilled. I'd like to see the Browns get back to a point where it isn't just one lucky year out of 12. It would be nice if we had some consistency with that, or just that the right decisions were made about players, that we'd see more Schwezingers, that we'd see more Judkins, that we'd see more Dylan Sampsons, that we'd see more Harold Fannons, that kind of thing. That would be nice. It's not happening, though. Let's see. 6-24. Yeah. Sounds like a Chicago song. 25 or 6-24. And I disagree with this. Greg Williams. Erratic guy. Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. That's tough. You give my best wishes. In all seriousness, give her my best wishes and tell her that I am praying for her. And I don't say that kind of thing very often, but oh my. I think that what we miss about the Browns of the 80s is maybe they overachieved. Maybe they were overachievers. Maybe that's the thing. And we're so used now to seeing underachievement. It's really tough. Oh, be nice. It just allows me to riff more, you know? It's kind of like if you gave Slash an extended guitar solo, you know? It's like, shut Axel the fuck up. You know, I want to hear Slash. You know? You get to hear Slash. Believe me, I get dull, repetitive, and boring after a while anyway. I try to keep it fresh, but it isn't easy. I don't know. I don't know how many offensive coordinators the Browns have gone through, but it seems like forever since we had a good one. Yeah, he inspires people to do yard work or take naps rather than watch football. Yeah, yeah. I mean, how many times can you say, "Oh, it's Sunday," and your wife says, "Go out in the backyard and rake the leaves or shovel the snow"? I'll be a little bit more topical because of what's going on in Northeast Ohio with the snow here. Yeah. And it's like you always had, I'm watching the Browns play, and that shut her up. You know, can't say that anymore. You say, I'm watching the Browns play. And she says, no, you're not. You're just sitting there bitching, and I'm sick of hearing it. Go out and rake the fucking leaves or shovel the fucking snow. Get out of here. Tony Rizzo is brain injured. Hope that helps. Not him. I have too many good players. No, the problem is they don't have any substitutes for the good players. You see, depth is an important thing. Very important thing. Like if you're dealing like Tony Rizzo, if you're dealing with water, deep is more dangerous than shallow. All right. But in sports, Tony, it's different. Depth is more important because if you're shallow in the talent pool, you're not going to go anywhere because you know that people are going to get injured. We have inadequate backup players. And that's what you saw today. And if you want to say that there's a reason for that, the reason they're even playing is because A, we don't draft people properly, and two, we're playing old men who should have been replaced years ago. It's all on ownership and management of the team. Because it was not real. The Browns imploded after the playoff win in Pittsburgh because it wasn't real. We should have done to Pittsburgh that day, buried those motherfuckers, instead of letting them score 38 points in the end and win 45-38. You know, we should have beaten them 52-0 like Bud Carson did years before. That's what we should have done. Everyone looks back at that playoff win. Look at the greatest thing. Ben Roethlisberger was 114 years of age and had turned into a pillar of salt. He was bound around his abdomen and midsection and chest more than Elvis Presley was in his final performance. He was mummified. You saw when the snap went over his head, he couldn't even go on the ground to get it. Watch the play again. That's not a great win. That's a great failure on the Steelers' part, keeping him out on the field because he shouldn't have been playing. My goodness. El Presidente, keep in touch with me, please. Please. Yeah, just text me anytime. I'm always around. Always. And the Browns have had their share of, if you want to say Marty Schottenheimer got a little bit predictable and he played it too safe and he'd always want his defense to win games and he'd lose close games. Yeah, you have that right. But it wasn't like they were just absolutely lost. It wasn't like that. This guy's like absolutely lost. You got to go. and we got to get better talent on the field. And we got to have better backup talent. You can't tell me that Cam Robinson should be playing next year. You can't tell me that what's his name? Leviston should be playing next year. They've shown nothing that would give them the right. It's one thing if you start out slow and you're a rook, Mason Graham's learning, he's made some plays and now the entire defense is taking the big Cancun vacation off. But you can't tell me that guys like Leviston and Cam Robinson and that group of backup offensive linemen have done anything to earn their way back to try this again. They haven't learned anything. I've seen no improvement whatsoever. None. I'll tell you how much coaching matters. Bill Callahan would not allow these bozos to play this way up front. But again, the fact that he left to go with his son, who didn't know how to coach for a bad team, will tell you that he really wasn't interested in staying in Cleveland anyway, because he knew what was happening and he knew Kevin Stefanski and he wouldn't come back. But if we get rid of him, or when, I'm going to be positive, we get rid of Kevin Stefanski, I'd be calling him a Bill up. And the reason is he knows how to prepare his offensive linemen. Wyatt Teller was shit in Buffalo. He wasn't good until he came to Cleveland because of the scheme of blocking that was being employed at the time. A lot of these guys, you pick up guys, and some of you draft. Sometimes you get the Batonios, you get the guys who are long-term players. But a lot of these guys, but the backup guys, you get a guy like Malik Collins, who's having a really great year. Now he's injured, of course. We only have one of him. We don't have backup guys, and we don't even have starting guys because they've gotten too old. So, let's see. Bro, Shedeur was leading in rushing. The one interception was on Jerry, but this was a bad game all around. Well, you're down 14-0 on 2 degrees below zero in front of a hostile crowd. And by the way, you notice how their fans show up in cold weather, but the Cleveland fans don't? Well, there's a reason for that. No fan's going to sacrifice the feelings in their extremities to watch bozos like this. Lousy game plans, no preparation. But a 10-4 football team is going to get a lot of people hard, really hard in Chicago by the lake. And it don't matter what the temperature is. They're going to show up and they're going to support their team. You're down 14-0 before the game begins. And what are you going to do? The pundits were saying, be lucky, the winner of this game is probably going to score 17 points. But you knew the Browns would gift them. If you listen to the end of the halftime show today, and I predicted the multiple turnovers by Shedeur. I don't want to be painted as being a big Shedeur fan. I just know he's better than Dylan Gabriel. That's what I know. But go back and watch the last 5 minutes of the halftime show. And I predicted that there would be multiple turnovers because you're not going to score points in bunches on -2 degree weather days. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, it was a bad game all around, for sure. You got to start a quarterback next year, and I ain't going to fucking draft one. So you play the best guy you got. And the guy who can get the big play downfield, not Mighty Midget. God. I don't want to hear it, Mendoza. He's below the line. I don't even want to entertain that thought. Yeah, it was funny. It's like, and you're watching the Browns, and I don't know if I go to 506, the maps on 506, and it's a site on the internet.com, and they tell you, both CBS and Fox, what games are being shown in what regions of the country. I always share them on the Friday program. It's the first thing I do on the Friday program. In case you're not watching it, if you're not living in Northeast Ohio, it might be difficult to see the Browns because they're not being shown because they're so bad. So if you're streaming games, wait a minute, I got something in my eye. If you're streaming games, then you need to know what affiliates of Fox or CBS, depending on where the game is played, you can actually view the game. And it's, it's shrinking like Jerry Judy's dick when he goes up for a ball in the end zone. Shrinking map. But it was big this Friday. It was big. And I said, oh, wow. And I told my viewers, if you're in Cleveland, if you're in Dayton, if you're in Cincinnati, wrong. Cincinnati was not showing the Browns and the Bears. 506 got it wrong. People made changes at the last minute and said, we can't show that fucking game. So there you have it. It's getting harder and harder to see the game without paying a ridiculous price for it, and all it does is it creates agitation. My good buddy David Talevsky, who helps out on the show tremendously, is so frustrated he couldn't get the game. He couldn't watch the game. So he's staring at Gamecast on ESPN. I'm saying, why are you doing this to yourself? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a line from a movie. Go to lunch. Would you go to lunch? Glenn Ross. It's like, go to bed, lay down on the sofa, chill, because you're not even going to get the visceral thrill of seeing how Jerry Judy fucked up. You're just going to read about it on a running timeline on ESPN. Look, I know you're a good fan, but God almighty, you don't have to do that to yourself. Really. That's the way to start a game, isn't it? Yeah, boy. Yeah, well, this is how people try to make names for themselves. You see, I never tried to make a name for themselves. I didn't care about that. No applause, In the old days, it was no applause, just throw money. Now it's no applause. My God. Go back, and you can go all the way back. I don't know how long it's been since the YouTube videos have been up, but I was around a lot longer than that. My God. I never earned a dime. This is costing me money to do this, but it's fun. It keeps me kind of young. There are people trying to make a name on this stuff, and it's really pathetic. I'm watching Mary Kay Cabot and watching Tony Rizzo and watching Sports Boy Tony and all these people. They're shills. It's really an unfortunate thing. And I don't know these people personally. Yeah, I mean, and that's a fair question. Is he fifth overall good? I'd have been much happier with an offensive lineman. But for most of the season, when the team was at least trying and realizing that, they keep seeing Kevin Stefanski week after week and they stop trying. But earlier in the year, you could see that the defensive line was the strength of the team. So I know that I got people, if you can coach them up and if they're going to be more excited about what's happening, and when Stefanski's gone, they're going to play harder. And I think our defense is good enough to win some games, but the offense isn't good to win any more than what the 3 games that they've won. That's all better that they can do. We need to shift everything over to the offensive line. And there's no guarantees. The guy you pick, the wide receivers that you pick, who knows? I see that Pickens, I'm sorry, who used to play with Pickett, is doing really well in his new home. And that's because he's not in Pittsburgh, where hand the ball off and see how many yards we can get, because he's not playing for Tomlin. Sometimes a guy blossoms in the right scheme and the right system. And I think that is what you hope for. You can't draft a guy out of the blue and then put him in a scheme that he has no concept with. I mean, that's a big mistake. because they have to adjust to the speed and strength of the game. And now they're playing their weakness against other people's strengths. It's no good. So Mason Graham is a Brown, and he has contributed when the defensive line did show up to play. So there's that. But do I think he's fifth overall good? Not so far. No, but I think it would be really hard for an interior lineman to be fifth that good when you have no wide receivers and you have no quarterback at the time. You had a 41-year-old quarterback. Do you think Joe Flacco's sitting on the bench saying, fuck, I can do better than this guy? And he's looking at Joe Burrow when he says it. Well, interior linemen, I mean, you're not supposed to see them. They shut down holes and they clog things up. It's the Myles Garretts who, they're the guys, the defensive ends, the TJ Watts, those guys, or Simmons who kicked our ass last week. Those guys are the ones who get noticed, not defensive tackles. Yeah, well, the Browns are always one step away because they're not building. There's an imminent collapse all the time waiting around the corner, and that's the sad part of it. I really wish that we would build something and we would draft something and we would say, we're really strong at the wide receiver position, and we have a young quarterback who can make big plays down the field. And I'll tell you, Shedeur throws the best deep ball of any quarterback we have seen in Cleveland, with the exception of the stretch of time that Flacco played. We've never had anybody in my recent memory that, with all the bad quarterbacks we've had, who were really good long ball throwers. And you got to take advantage of a person's skill set, but you've got to have a running game to give that quarterback time to set up and throw that long ball. And Isaiah Bond is getting open. He's fast. He's getting open. He's running decent patterns, and he's getting open. He's a good guy to have. You keep him, but not as one of the big three receivers. I mean, you got to have bigger men. He's the guy who you put out on the field every so often. He can decoy deep, and then he'll catch you sleeping, and he'll get behind you, and he'll burn you. You need somebody like that, but you need more big, strong guys who can go up and clutch the ball with their hands. That's what you need. Yeah, I mean, Stefanski is not even, in my mind, anything. Time tells all tales. You don't judge somebody on one bad year or one good year. It's an encyclopedia of work, and you have to come to the conclusion that he's not very good. Yeah. There is no gleam in this team. Marty was still looking for it. I still don't know what in the fuck it was. Let's see. One of the worst things when Stefanski pulled all starters that last game against Cincy, and we got boat raced into the playoffs. He I don't know. He is really absent. And, maybe he got good grades in his Ivy League school. I don't know. He went to Penn, and I'm not sure. Was that the school or a penitentiary? I don't know. He's not that smart. He couldn't be. Oh, here comes Big Lurker. Obviously, we expect our guys to be able to go out there and perform in some of these situations. This is Stefanski. And we need to look at it and figure out ways to get guys on the ground. I'd love to have you 6 feet under the ground. I hate you, Kevin. That's my wrathful Bruce Drennan impression. I hate you. But I actually like Bruce. He's a good guy. I shouldn't steal his slug line and turn it into something so negative. Anybody who would take the Michigan job right now, a 29-year-old guy like Tommy Rees, yeah, that's a good place for him. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Let him move on because he's not calling plays for the Cleveland Browns, and he's not going to call plays for any qualified head coach. So let's just make sure that everybody knows that. And that's a point too. I've never seen such a self-appreciating person with that false rah-rah thing. And the people are looking at him like, oh, we're 2-7. Why are we supposed to be excited again? No, he wouldn't, because he's a professional. There's nothing professional about this football team. Yeah, and when we dumped Stump Mitchell, I mean, and the receivers coach, everything just needs to be replaced, really. No one gets chewed out, benched, nothing. Just get told, got to do better. Well, I think that we don't know. What I would say is what's happening behind the scenes is that he is running the players into the ground, that he is destroying the morale in the locker room because each week they come out looking worse. And I told you when the press starts talking back to Stefanski, I told you it's over for him. He's gone at the end of the year. And I knew that a week or two ago. And I've been talking about it on my weekly program. You can feel the vibes. I think people are getting chewed out. I think the players don't want to play for him. And I think a change that you make, you start it out. It's no point bringing them into this mess. But it starts out by not going to the Greenbrier, West Virginia. You get somebody out there who's got let's go to work. Treat them like men, for God's sakes. Compliment them when they do well. Work them hard. And give them accolades when they do well. That's what it is. That's what we need to do. Get the guy in so that the whole process from the draft all the way to opening practice, the preseason, and then the regular season, one lead voice that is a fresh breath of air to clear up the stench from Kevin Stefanski. I have eyes. Of course I have eyes. Wait a minute. Let's see if I can do an impression with my eyes. Charlie Kirk's wife. Thank you. I do eye impressions. Sanders is stuck trying to do too much. He's behind. He's playing from behind from the very beginning. I'd like to see him get a chance to play with a lead so he could use a balanced offensive scheme instead of having to go into, everything is get rid of the ball quick, check down mode, and got to pass too much, and the balance is gone. And when you hand off the ball, the guy's going to get hit two yards behind the line of scrimmage. It is. It's throwing a lot on a rookie's plate. Let's see. Yeah, it was a great pass that Judy dropped, but the look on Shadur's face was, how I forgave you and God forgave you for being a prick on the sidelines 2 weeks ago, and then I threw you a perfect pass, you caught it, and you went in, and then you did an immature backflip into the end zone, and we kneeled together, and we had that moment together. Well, it's gone now. It's been ruined for me forever. Please get him off the team. That's true. I do not drink. I do not do drugs. And I have eyes. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. You've got eyes. Well, you've got mail. The reason is he trapped it on his chest. He's not catching the ball with his hands because he's a little squirt and he doesn't have strong hands. Maybe if he jerked off more, maybe you could find some boys for him to jerk off so he can get stronger hands. I don't know what the deal is. Can't catch the ball, too much of that. Same thing with Cedric Tillman, too much body catching, and that's not the way they teach you. It's not the way it's supposed to happen. The what ifs. What if they put in Sanders before the season was completely over? The defense hadn't quit, I think is what he means to say. That's what you find out next year. That's why there's next year. You let him practice and get the primary snaps in the preseason and in practices, new system, new scheme, let him learn it. He's done it before. He's done it this time, and he's actually adapted to some degree. So that's how it starts. Ah, God. The interesting thing, changing the scheme from Flacco to Jackson midseason by the Ratbirds impressed me. I think that every quarterback has strengths and weaknesses, and the whole idea is to know what guys to draft to make your other players play up to their fullest potential. The Browns just don't seem to have the capacity to do that, and it's really sad. The Browns don't have the draft capital to trade up for a quarterback. The Jets have 6 first-round picks in the next 3 years. They need to just stack the roster with weapons and O-linemen. That's right. I mean, you're not going to get better all over the field. It's not going to be a reclamation project. It's not like renovating a home where you do everything all at once. You're going to have to spruce up a couple of rooms. That's what you got the budget for. So you fix the rooms that you live in the most. And they know it's coming, and Bond is still getting open in the middle of the field. But you see that he's not a guy who's going to be an inside receiver who's going to catch the ball in traffic. He's not that kind of guy. He's a guy who can run gadget plays and sweeps and things like that and get down and split the middle of a zone with sheer speed. Nothing wrong having a guy like that, but you got to have the bruisers, the guys who get you the first downs before you worry about the guy who's, hitting the big one. What time is it anyway? It's 8 after 5. How badly are the Cavaliers doing? Could somebody check in how much they're losing to the Hornets by? Because I want to watch the last of that game rather than concern myself with all of this. Yeah. Right now, I'm not sure God could bring back Bernie Kosar. Bernie Kosar is a sick man. And I wish him the best, too. I don't know. I ain't going to say nothing about that. Not going to say nothing. I don't think that the front office is going to get fired, but I think the entire coaching staff, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the running backs coach are all going to be replaced. Special teams guy, they're all going to be replaced. That is what I think. I could go on with these comments, and I really appreciate you guys for reaching out, but give this. I think Arc Raiders shouldn't have one multi-layer game of the year. Do you agree? Well, thank you. They mistime their jumps, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Fannin is not yet good at coming back to the quarterback, but he's had a very good rookie year. but he's got things to learn. And you really need to have receivers, coaches, people with experience, people who were tight ends in the league to teach him some of those things that are, part and parcel of the little odds and ends that could make a really nice player a really, really good player. I don't want to talk about Deuce Staley. Jerry Jeudy has already taken his money and disappeared, so he thinks he can make more. I'm just reading some of these comments as I fire through. Well, thank you for that, Keith. I'll take that to bed with me tonight. Thank you. And there you have it. Chiefs eliminated. This is from a great source, Big Lurker UK. Mahomes with a reported serious knee injury. He'll undergo an MRI and acknowledged it didn't look good. And this is, you got to make hay while the sun shines. Quarterbacks are going to go down like flies. And once that happens, their careers are finished. We saw it with Deshaun Watson. And you just can't, and DTR never came back into the league. And he's a young man. You're just not going to, I don't know even how to put it. Your time is your time, and it ends right quick. And that's the end of the Chiefs' little dynasty. But at least they had one. So there you have it. 80-68 Hornets. Boy, those Cavaliers. I'm not going to say anything beyond that. Here's a quote. I'm in the learning and understanding phase of this game and how things are. That's Shadur. Trying to figure out why the coach still has a job. I just showed up. Bing bong. Hey, it's Moohead at the door. Let's answer. Nah, I appreciate you tuning in and watching. I try to get this feed out to more and more people, but again, self-promotion isn't the thing. I don't have the time in my life to sit there and become wonky at 68 years of age. When I was younger, I might have seen some momentum and then jumped on it, but I'm just an old guy doing a show. You're very welcome, and thank you to you, Big Lurker. You know that I appreciate all the help that you give me and getting these little quotes from the post game. Everybody, I hope you have a fun rest of your Sunday. I'm going to take in the end of the Cavaliers game, and I hope everybody has a good start to their week. And thank you, everybody, for coming in and supporting the program. I can't say enough how much I appreciate it. Best of health to everybody, and we will be back again tomorrow on the day after hangover show. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.